The chamber of the Interstellar Bioassessment Directorate was silent when the final report finished compiling. 712 species had been catalogued over 3 millennia. None had triggered a level crimson review. Until now. Director Cale Varon stood alone before the holographic projection of a small blue planet rotating in the dark. Species designation, human. Native world, Earth. Classification pending. He had expected primitive tribalism. Perhaps moderate aggression. What he found instead disturbed him. Begin biological summary, he ordered. The AI responded in a calm tone. Humans evolved as persistence predators. They exhaust prey over long distances rather than overpowering immediately. Cale frowned. Clarify. They run their targets to death. A murmur rippled across the observation tier. The data continued. They possess high pain tolerance. Skeletal fractures do not guarantee incapacitation. Individuals frequently continue combat with severe trauma. Images flashed, broken limbs splinted mid-battle. Soldiers standing despite visible injuries. Metabolic override response, adrenaline. Under threat, muscular output increases beyond normal structural safety margins. Meaning? Cale asked. They willingly damage their own bodies to win. The chamber dimmed as planetary data expanded. Environmental difficulty rating, 12 on a 10-scale danger index. Gas levels fluctuating. Apex predators. Seasonal climate extremes. Microbial density lethal to most cataloged life. Yet population exceeds 8 billion, the AI concluded. Cale stepped closer to the projection. How? Cooperation. A new dataset appeared. Humans form complex alliances beyond genetic relation. They coordinate in large numbers during crisis events. Explain psychological resilience. High adaptability. Repeated extinction-level bottlenecks in evolutionary history. Pattern indicates behavioral reinforcement under stress. A junior analyst whispered, they get stronger when threatened. Cale did not respond. Continue. Humans demonstrate dual behavioral spectrum. Extreme compassion toward in-group, extreme lethality toward perceived threat. Combat footage surfaced. Disaster relief footage followed. Same species. Same hands. Cale felt a rare sensation tightening in his thorax. Preliminary lethality projection? The AI paused. Unrestricted technological growth combined with adaptive warfare patterns suggests exponential threat potential. The chamber lights brightened. Cale turned to the council observers. For the first time in Directorate history, he said quietly, we may have discovered a species that does not merely survive evolution. He faced the rotating world again. It weaponized it. Silence filled the chamber. Then the AI delivered the final line of the report. Recommendation, immediate strategic deliberation. Cale nodded slowly. Call the assembly. Because something in the data was undeniable. Humanity was not fragile. It was forged. And forged things were dangerous. The assembly hall of the Concordiate filled within hours. Representatives from across known space watched as Director Cale resumed the briefing. Biology is only the beginning, he said. Now we examine history. The projection shifted. Early human conflicts appeared. Primitive weapons. Organized formations. Strategic positioning. They developed warfare before global unification, Cale explained. Competition accelerated innovation. The timeline accelerated. World War I. Trenches carved into poisoned earth. They endured years of attrition in chemical-filled environments. World War II. Industrial-scale destruction. Cities burning. They increased destructive capacity by magnitudes within a single generation. A representative from the Xyler Collective interrupted. Primitive infighting is common. Why the concern? Cale gestured to the next projection. A blinding flash. Mushroom cloud rising. Silence overtook the hall. They split the atom, Cale said. And then? They built thousands more. Gasps spread through the chamber. A historian spoke. Why did they not destroy themselves? Cale answered without hesitation. They nearly did. Cold War simulations filled the air. Missile trajectories. Mutually assured destruction doctrine. Explain this, another delegate demanded. Cale's voice was steady. They created a system where total annihilation prevented war. They threatened extinction to preserve existence? Yes. Murmurs turned uneasy. The AI continued. Human conflict historically accelerates technological advancement. Post-war periods show rapid civilian innovation. Medical breakthroughs. space exploration, digital communication. They turn devastation into development, Kale said. A military strategist leaned forward. Do they unite against external threats? The projection changed. Asteroid near-miss responses. Pandemic coordination. International scientific collaboration. Pattern indicates increased unity under global pressure, the AI confirmed. Kale surveyed the assembly. Humans are not lethal merely because they fight, he said. They are lethal because they learn. Silence settled heavily. One delegate asked the question no one wanted to voice. If provoked? Kale did not hesitate. Historical data suggests total mobilization. And probability of surrender? Low. The hall dimmed. Kale closed the historical record. Biology created resilience. History created strategy. He paused before delivering the conclusion. Congratulations, he said quietly. Humanity is the most lethal species alive. And the galaxy had just noticed. Shock fractured the assembly. Some demanded isolation protocols. Others proposed preemptive eradication. High Chancellor ORM raised his voice. They are young. Young species are volatile. General Krell countered, volatile becomes catastrophic when armed. A softer voice interrupted. Ambassador Lyra Sunfall of the E3 stepped forward. You describe fear, she said. I see potential. The chamber quieted. Kale observed silently. Lyra continued. They demonstrate empathy beyond survival necessity. Their disaster responses show strangers risking lives for strangers. General Krell scoffed. They also bomb cities. Yes, Lyra replied calmly. They are capable of horror. And restraint. The projection displayed human humanitarian missions. Medical volunteers in war zones. Rescue operations in collapsing buildings. Lyra gestured. They are contradictions. Kale nodded slightly. Dual-spectrum psychology, he confirmed. The Chancellor addressed the hall. Options. 3 proposals materialized. Containment. Preemptive strike. First contact diplomacy. General Krell spoke first. Strike now. Before they reach interstellar capability. Lyra stepped forward. And create the very enemy you fear? The hall murmured. Kale added, statistical analysis. External aggression increases human unity by 82%. Silence followed. Lyra pressed her advantage. If we attack, they will adapt. If we guide, they may ally. A strategist asked, and if guidance fails? Lyra did not waver. Then we face them having tried. Kale studied the projections again. Human children laughing. Human soldiers training. Human scientists collaborating. The Chancellor spoke. We vote. Votes illuminated across the chamber. Containment, moderate. Strike, rising. Diplomacy, narrowly leading. Before final tally, an alert interrupted. Unauthorized fleet mobilization detected. General Krell froze. The CRE Dominion, Kale said. They have chosen. Countdown displayed. 92 days to arrival at Earth. The assembly erupted. Lyra whispered, now they will see. Kale looked at the blue planet. We warned them, he said softly. But some lessons, Lyra replied, must be learned the hard way. News of the incoming fleet spread through human channels within hours of detection. Astrophysicist Dr. Elena Ramirez stared at the sensor data. They're not hiding, she said. Military liaison Colonel David Harker folded his arms. They want us afraid. Elena shook her head. They miscalculated. Emergency Global Summit convened. Nations argued briefly. Then something shifted. Shared threat erased old rivalries. Factories retooled overnight. Civilian industries converted to defense manufacturing. Private companies opened patents without profit demand. Global data networks synchronized. Elena addressed the Unified Council. We have 90 days. We cannot match their numbers. Harker responded. Then we changed the game. Satellite grids repositioned. Railgun prototypes accelerated to production. Experimental propulsion designs greenlit without bureaucratic delay. University labs received unrestricted funding. Retired engineers returned voluntarily. Citizens volunteered blood, labor, expertise. Media channels broadcast calm determination. No panic. Just resolve. Alien observers watched in disbelief. Kale monitored quietly. They mobilize efficiently, he admitted. Lyra smiled faintly. They always do. Elena studied alien hull schematics. They rely on shield harmonics. Harker asked, Weakness? She nodded slowly. All systems have them. Countdown, 60 days. Test launch is successful. Orbital platforms armed. Nations signed temporary unity charter. Countdown, 30 days. Civilians trained in emergency protocols. Countdown, 10 days. Humanity stood ready. Harker addressed combined defense forces. We did not ask for this fight, he said. But we will finish it. Elena watched the stars. Fear was present. But beneath it burned something stronger. Determination. Above Earth, silent weapons platforms waited. Alien fleet entered outer system. And for the first time, the hunters were not alone. The CRE Dominion fleet crossed the heliopause without hesitation. 112 warships. Angular hulls. Energy signatures spiking. They expected panic. Instead, they were met with silence. Colonel Harker stood inside Orbital Defense Command. Range? He asked. 2 million kilometers and closing, Elena replied. CRE Commander Wrath opened a transmission. This world is now under Dominion authority. Power down all defensive systems. No response. Wrath narrowed his eyes. Advance. The first CRE cruiser accelerated toward Earth. At precisely 900,000 kilometers, human satellites activated. Railgun platforms fired simultaneously. Kinetic rods streaked across space at hypersonic velocity. The lead cruiser's shields flared. Then collapsed. The projectile punched through the hull. Silence. Then explosion. Shock rippled across Dominion formation. Wrath barked orders. Return fire. Energy lances burned toward Earth. But human orbital platforms shifted position using unpredictable microthrust bursts. Elena smiled grimly. They didn't expect dynamic targeting. Harker gave the next command. Release the mirrors. Hundreds of small reflective satellites deployed. CRE targeting arrays scattered across false signatures. Confusion spread through enemy formation. Second volley, Harker ordered. Railguns fired again. 2 more cruisers shattered. Dominion ships tightened formation. Wrath adjusted strategy. Focus fire on planetary grid. Energy beams slammed into defense satellites. Several platforms disintegrated. Casualties confirmed. Harker watched silently. Losses acceptable, he said. Keep pressure. Human fighter craft launched from lunar shadow. Small, fast, unpredictable. They darted between larger ships. Magnetic mines attached to hull plating. Explosions rippled across CRE vessels. Wrath growled. These primitives adapt too quickly. Elena monitored shield frequencies. They're recalibrating. Harker nodded. Then we escalate. From hidden positions beyond Mars, long-range nuclear payloads ignited engines. Not aimed directly. Time. Calculated. They detonated behind Dominion formation. Electromagnetic shock disrupted shield harmonics. For 3 critical seconds, CRE defenses flickered. Railguns fired again. Another cruiser split in half. Wrath stared at casualty reports. Losses exceeded projections. How? He demanded. An officer whispered, they anticipated us. Below, on Earth, billions watched the sky. Fear existed. But so did pride. Harker looked at Elena. They came to conquer. She nodded. But they weren't ready. Above them, warships burned. And the galaxy watched humanity answer. Wrath refused retreat. Deploy heavy carriers, he ordered. Massive CRE dreadnoughts advanced. Shields layered. Weapon arrays charging. Elena scanned readings. Energy spike unprecedented. Harker's jaw tightened. Can we penetrate? Not conventionally. Dominion beams carved through remaining satellites. Orbital debris scattered like shattered glass. Harker turned to tactical. Phase 3. Hidden beneath lunar surface, concealed mass drivers activated. Rail systems miles long fired tungsten slugs at extreme velocity. The dreadnought shields absorbed first impact. Second. Third. Microfractures formed. Elena detected harmonic instability. They're compensating slower. Harker leaned forward. Target the fractures. Coordinated fire converged on weakened points. A dreadnought shield buckled. Hull plating tore open. Secondary explosions cascaded. Cheers erupted inside command. But the victory was brief. Dominion carriers released assault pods. Hundreds of them. Heading toward Earth's atmosphere. Harker exhaled slowly. Here it comes. Global defense grids activated. Surface-based lasers tracked incoming pods. Dozens destroyed. Dozens slipped through. Pods slammed into oceans, deserts, remote terrain. In one impact zone, armored CRE soldiers emerged. Advanced weapons. Superior armor. Waiting for them were human rapid response units. Combined forces from former rival nations. No hesitation. Gunfire erupted. CRE plasma met human ballistic rounds. Close quarters. Ferocious. A human soldier fell. Another stepped over him. Grenade detonations shook the battlefield. CRE strength exceeded human baseline. But humans did not retreat. They flanked. Improvised. Adapted mid-combat. Harker monitored ground feeds. "They don't break," Elena whispered. "No," he replied. "We don't." One squad leader with a shattered arm continued issuing orders. Tourniquet applied with teeth. Still fighting. CRE commanders observed from orbit. Casualty rates rising. Resistance far above expectation. Wrath's voice hardened. "These are not prey." Back on Earth, coordinated counterstrikes eliminated landing zones one by one. Within hours, ground incursions failed. Dominion assault pods destroyed. Remaining CRE forces retreated to orbit. Wrath stared at tactical display. Losses mounting. Strategic advantage slipping. For the first time since campaign initiation, he felt uncertainty. Humans were not merely surviving. They were studying him. Harker studied the tactical projection. "If we let them regroup, we lose initiative." Elena nodded. "They won't expect us to attack upward." He gave the order. "Prepare boarding vessels." Modified cargo craft armed with breaching charges launched from lunar shadow. Minimal profiles. Maximum velocity. Dominion scanners detected them late. Wrath sneered. "They attempt suicide." Defense turrets fired. 2 human craft vaporized. 3 pressed on. 1 collided deliberately with a damaged cruiser. Explosive bolts detonated. Hull breach achieved. Inside the CRE vessel, alarms blared. Human marines flooded corridors. Close combat. Brutal. Controlled. A marine with a fractured visor continued forward despite decompression warning. "Seal breach," someone shouted. They advanced room by room. Magnetic boots locking against alien flooring. CRE soldiers counterattacked. Stronger individually, but unprepared for relentless aggression. Humans moved in coordinated pairs. Covering angles. Clearing intersections. Improvising weapons from damaged panels. Harker watched live feed from command shuttle approaching primary dreadnought. "We take the flagship," he said. Elena's voice trembled slightly. "That's Wrath." "Exactly." The shuttle rammed into weakened shield gap. Explosive entry. Harker led the charge personally. Inside chaos. CRE guards formed defensive line. Harker's unit breached with concussive grenades. Disorientation. Forward push. A plasma bolt struck Harker's side. Armor cracked. He kept moving. Wrath stood at command dais. Towering. Armored. He raised his weapon. Harker fired first. The shot shattered Wrath's shoulder plating. The two collided physically. Strength against endurance. Wrath overpowered initially. Harker's arm twisted painfully. Something snapped. He drove forward anyway. Knife drawn. Close strike. Wrath staggered. Human reinforcements arrived. Weapons trained. Wrath fell to one knee. Harker, bleeding, breathing hard, stood over him. "You misjudged us," he said. Wrath stared upward. Realization dawning. "These are not primitives," he whispered. "No," Harker replied. "We're survivors." Outside, Dominion fleet hesitated. Flagship compromised. Command disrupted. For the first time, the invaders were leaderless, and humanity was standing inside their warship. News of Wrath's capture spread instantly across Dominion channels. Confusion rippled through remaining ships. Without centralized command, coordination fractured. Elena transmitted open frequency. "This is Earth Command. Withdraw now." Silence. Then scattered retreat vectors appeared. Some ships attempted reformation. Human rail platforms fired again. Precise. Targeted. Not annihilation. Disablement. One carrier lost propulsion. Another vented atmosphere. Harker, injured but conscious, ordered secure containment of Wrath. "Broadcast visual confirmation," he said. The galaxy watched as the Dominion commander was restrained. Alive. Defeated. CRE officers aboard other ships hesitated. Casualties exceeded sustainable margins. Strategic objective failed. Retreat became inevitable. Engines flared. One by one, Dominion vessels jumped to faster-than-light escape. The battlefield fell quiet. Wreckage drifted. Burning fragments glowed against Earth's curvature. Cheers erupted across human networks. But Harker did not celebrate. "Count the losses," he said. Numbers came in slowly. Orbital stations destroyed. Cities damaged from debris impacts. Thousands dead. Victory carried weight. Elena stood beside him. "We survived." He nodded. "Yes." She looked at the stars. "Do you think they'll come back?" Harker watched emergency crews mobilize across continents. "They might," he said. "Then we'll be ready." Across the galaxy, the Concordiate Assembly reconvened. Kale observed casualty reports with solemn expression. Lyra stood beside him. "They defended themselves," she said quietly. "And they stopped when retreat began," Kale added. "No pursuit. Measured force," Lyra replied. Kale nodded slowly. "Lethal," he said. "But controlled." The Chancellor addressed the Assembly. "The CRE Dominion has withdrawn." Murmurs spread. "And humanity?" Kale looked at the projection of Earth. "Scarred. But standing." "They endured," he said. "And adapted." Lyra smiled faintly. "You see it now." Kale exhaled. "Yes." He finally understood. Humanity was not dangerous because it loved war. It was dangerous because it survived it. Weeks later, Earth repaired. Rebuilt. Stronger orbital arrays constructed. Unified Defense Charter formalized permanently. Harker recovered in medical wing. Broken arm stabilized. He watched reconstruction through reinforced glass. Elena entered quietly. "They're calling it the defense of Earth." He gave a tired smile. "History likes names." She sat beside him. "Alien transmission incoming." Harker straightened. On screen appeared Director Kale. "I speak on behalf of the Concordiate," Kale began. "Humanity has demonstrated resilience, discipline, and strategic restraint." Harker folded his hands. "We defended our home." Kale inclined his head. "And did not pursue vengeance." Elena spoke. "We want peace." Lyra appeared beside Kale. "And you shall have allies." Formal recognition followed. Trade proposals. Technological exchange. Mutual defense pacts. Harker ended transmission and looked at Elena. "They tried to erase us." She nodded. "And now?" He gazed at Earth below. "Now they know." Across the galaxy, the Assembly amended official records. Threat Index, 247. Designation updated. Humanity, most lethal species alive. Annotation added beneath. As allies, invaluable. As enemies, extinction level. Kale finalized the record. Lyra stood beside him. "You were afraid," she said gently. "I was," he admitted. "And now?" Kale looked at the distant blue world. "I am cautious." Lyra smiled. "Good. Because somewhere beyond known space, other empires were watching. And they too had learned something vital. Humanity did not seek domination. It sought survival. But if survival required strength, it would answer. Again. And again. Years later, Earth stood among the stars. Joint fleets patrolled trade routes. Human engineers collaborated with alien scientists. Medical breakthroughs spread across systems. But the legend remained. In distant war academies, instructors studied the Battle of Earth. Case study title: Underestimating Persistence Predators. Cadets learned the lesson. Never corner a species forged by extinction. On Earth, a memorial stood overlooking the ocean. Names etched in stone. Harker visited once each year. His arm healed imperfectly. He never corrected it. Reminder. Elena joined him during the 10th anniversary ceremony. "Do you regret it?" she asked softly. He considered. "No." She looked toward the horizon. "They congratulated us," she said. He nodded. "Yes." Strange word. "Very." She smiled faintly. "Most lethal species alive." Harker watched waves crash against rock. "Lethal isn't what defines us." "No." He shook his head. "Choice does." Above them, Allied ships crossed the sky peacefully. Human children pointed upward in wonder. Far away in the Concordiate archives, Kale finalized a final note beneath humanity's file. Conclusion: lethality balanced by empathy. Lyra read it and approved. In distant space, rumors circulated. Another empire considering expansion. Their scouts examined data. Casualty reports. Boarding footage. Railgun strikes. Broken commander kneeling. One scout asked quietly, "Are they worth the risk?" The answer came from historical record. Humans endured ice ages, plagues, world wars, near extinction, and invasion. They adapted. They united. They fought. And they stopped when the threat ended. The report closed with a single sentence. Congratulations, humanity is the most lethal species alive. But beneath that, etched into galactic memory, was the truth. They were lethal because they had to be. And that made them unstoppable.